In the restaurant industry, there's a swinging metal door that divides two completely different worlds. On one side is the back of the house, the kitchen. It's hot, it's noisy, it's successful chaos, and really, really hard labor. On the other side is the front of the house, the dining room, conversation, customers, air conditioning, and comfort. You see, my parents spent most of their lives in the back of the house. As refugees of the Vietnam War, they didn't have much. But when they read that this was the best place to open a business in America, they moved here. They had no idea where Sioux Falls, South Dakota was. They had no idea how cold it got here. And they had no idea if people would even like tripe. But they did their best. You know, my parents worked really hard. They had multiple jobs. My dad delivered papers at night while working at a factory during the day, just so they could open the first Vietnamese restaurant in Sioux Falls. And they raised 3 boys here. And we got to grow up behind the counter, make friends with customers, go out in the community, and do really cool things. But my parents, they rarely had time to stop and watch. Growing up, they didn't go to our school events that often. It wasn't because they didn't care for us, it's because they were working. They spent 14-hour days in that restaurant kitchen. They weren't worried about cultural impact or building community. They were just worried about making the rent. They were worried about keeping the lights on. They were worried about how they could send 3 boys to Catholic school. For them, the American dream wasn't an abstract. It was opportunity, but first it was survival. And it worked. Through grit, a lot of hard work, and people who took a chance on them and tried tripe, they succeeded. Like today, my parents, they aren't just business owners, they own their building, they're property owners. And that's a big deal. I'll tell you what. In post-war Vietnam, where my parents left, you couldn't own property. And if you disagreed with the government, you were taken away in the middle of the night. And your money, it could be worth this much this day and worth nothing the next day. That's what they left, to come here for opportunity. And they found themselves in a foreign but friendly land, and they became masters of the back of the house. And they built that foundation of safety for my brothers and I. But what happens when the kids grow up? What happens when your parents give you that foundation of safety that they worked so hard for? What happens when you decide that you're going to step through the front door into the front of the house? Well, I did. I stepped through that swinging door. I left the heat of the kitchen. I went off to Chicago and earned a degree from Loyola University, came back to Sioux Falls, and started a business. I get to operate in the front of the house. I have the safety, comfort, and success that my parents sacrificed for. By every measure, I should be one of the happiest people in the room. Here's a secret. Many second-generation immigrants carry this. Success feels like a betrayal. I look at my life, where I get to talk, create, build relationships, and I compare it to my parents' physical struggle. And it makes me feel guilty. I worry that my life is frivolous compared to their hard labor. I feel like I haven't earned my seat at the table because I didn't cook the meal. And as I grew up and I got to meet more people and learn more stories, I learned that I wasn't the only one who felt this way. Immigrant guilt is real. And it turns out researchers have researched it. A landmark 2008 study published in American Psychiatry looked at national data and found some staggering results. US-born children of immigrants have up to 50% higher lifetime risk for anxiety and depression compared to their foreign-born parents. But how can that be? I mean, look at us. We've got the degrees, we've got the jobs, we've got the ability to dream and do whatever we want. But we're stressed out. We're struggling. Think about it. Our parents survived a lot. War, poverty, famine, displacement, moving to a new country, working 14-hour days, racism, whatever it is. They endure a lot. Yet we are the ones statistically more likely to burn out. How does that make sense? Well, psychologists call it family achievement guilt, the crushing distress of outpacing the people who sacrificed everything for you. Let that sink in. On paper, we're thriving, but internally, we're exhausted. We're burning ourselves out trying to repay a debt of suffering that just can't be repaid. I spent years wrestling with this guilt, trying to outwork my anxiety. I had the plan for success. I went to private school, got good grades, got a scholarship, went to a good college, joined a fraternity, joined the Shriners, joined the Masons, got a good job, wore a tie, took golf lessons. I thought I was gonna be successful, be happy. But it just didn't work out. I always felt like I wasn't doing enough. And it took a lot of time. A lot of time, some therapy, some good coaches, mentorship, and self-reflection, and I had this realization. And it changed the paradox for me. Can I share it with you? The reason that we feel so anxious is that we're trying to pay back a debt using the wrong currency. We think we owe our parents suffering. We think that if we stress enough, work enough, earn enough, and stay in survival mode, we'll validate their suffering. We'll validate their sacrifice. But we're treating our parents like a bank that we owe, when we should be treating them like angel investors who bet everything on us. An investor doesn't want their struggle paid back. They want a return on their investment. The kitchen doesn't exist just to make pretty food and leave it there. The kitchen exists so you can have a full dining room. My parents didn't sweat in the kitchen so I could come home and wash dishes. They did the prep work so I could be the host. Growing up, my dad always said, I learned to run a restaurant so you wouldn't have to. I learned to fix cars so you wouldn't have to. I learned to build and fix houses so you wouldn't have to. I didn't quite understand that at the time, but now I do. Culture is the luxury purchased by the previous generation's labor. Again, culture is the luxury that we are afforded because of our parents. If we don't use that freedom to build something beautiful, then we're wasting that investment. That's the realization that changed everything for me. It fixed the paradox. It gave me permission to fully embrace being in the front of the house. And here's what that looks like. Today, I co-own a business where I get to work with other businesses and nonprofits and tell their stories. I help organize cultural festivals alongside the Vietnamese American community. I serve on boards in our city. I mentor local entrepreneurs because I know what it's like to have someone in your corner. When I do these things, I'm not betraying my parents' sacrifice. I'm activating it. I'm taking the economic ingredients that they secured for us, and I'm plating the dish. I'm moving my family's story from survival to significance. And there's no better story that illustrates that than that of my baby brother. This past March, in a year with so many things happening, I had the opportunity to step away for a bit and go to Killeen, Texas. Now, there's not much in Killeen, Texas, but there was the National High School Powerlifting Championships. And my baby brother, James, did not just show up to compete. He crushed it. But here's some context. Back in 2010, I was a senior here at O'Gorman High School. And for 2 years, I worked so hard to chase a deadlift record that had existed since 1987. And when I finally pulled that bar up the ground, I wasn't thinking about records or a number. I thought about my brothers. Growing up, the three of us, we didn't know where our place was. We didn't know how we fit in. We didn't know what language we should be learning, how we should be presenting, who we should hang out with, what we should be doing. We had a good upbringing, we had a good school, but it never felt like there was a place for us. I wanted so badly to have that record so that our name could be on the wall, so that when my brothers eventually got to school and they would walk down the hallway and they would see it, they would know we belonged here. We weren't an exception. We weren't charity cases. We had made our own place in this community. That was the goal, not the record, the belonging. 14 years later, James is a high schooler. He sees the record. He says, I'm gonna beat it. So he beats it. But even better, he breaks it and sets a new one. But even better, we go to March and he wins the whole thing. He's a national champion. Born and raised right here in Sioux Falls. You see, our parents lifted heavy things in the back of the house just to survive. My baby brother James, he lifts heavy things on a national stage just to thrive. I set a bar. James cleared every bar that anyone has ever put in front of him. That's what it looks like when the dining room is open for the whole community, for anybody. You see, James's story is not unique to our family. There are Jameses in every community. Kids who are ready to excel in the front of the house. They just need somebody to put their name on the wall. Now I want to take a moment and speak to the bridge generation. Whether your parents were immigrants, refugees, or just hardworking people, they all sacrificed a lot to give you a better life. So it's time to drop the guilt. Remember, culture is the luxury afforded to us by our parents. Stop wishing that you could share in that suffering in the kitchen. Get out in the front of the house. Your parents built the walls. Now it's your job to build the tables. We live in a community that's growing fast, but roads and buildings only connect us physically. Sociologists tell us that healthy communities require bridging capital, the spaces where different groups come together to share their lives. That doesn't happen in boardrooms. It happens when someone puts their name on the wall so the next kid knows that they belong. Our parents did the prep work. They secured the foundation. Now it's our job to provide hospitality, to build a community where everyone, newcomer and lifelong resident alike, feels welcome to sit down. Mom and Dad built the kitchen. I'm here to make sure that the dining room is open for everybody. I'm Vince Don, and I'll see you soon.